everyone, my name is Bianca. I am 10 years old, and because the Olympics of 2020 are going on, I thought it would be a great idea to read you the story of the Olympics from Usborne. Let's start! Chapter 1. The Sports in Ancient Greece. The ancient Greeks loved to compete. They held contests for everything: public speaking, painting, writing, even kissing. But the most popular competitions were for sports, such as running, chariot racing, boxing, wrestling, or throwing the discus. The discus was a round stone. Any big event was a good excuse for a sports contest. The Greeks held races and wrestling matches at feasts and religious festivals, and funerals too. They even took javelins and discuses with them when they went to war. Chapter 2. The First Games. No one is sure how the Olympic Games really began, but the first recorded sports event at Olympia took place in 776 before Christ, about 3,000 years ago. Olympia was in a beautiful river valley surrounded by olive groves and low hills in southeast Greece. People came to Olympia to worship Zeus, king of the Greek gods, and Hera, his queen. One story says that it was Zeus' son, the Greek hero Hercules, who started the Olympic Games. Another story claims that it started as funeral games in memory of Prince Pelops of Lydia. Years before, Pelops had won a chariot race. He was racing to win a beautiful princess as his bride. But the games probably began as part of a big religious festival at Olympia in praise of Zeus. At first, there was just one event, a running race of 190 meters, the length of a stadium. All the runners were Greek men. Women who wanted to race had a separate festival called the Heraia. From 776 before Christ, the games were held at Olympia every 4 years, usually in August. The 4 years time span between games was called an Olympiad. It was the tradition in ancient Greece for male athletes to compete naked. This gave them the chance to show off their muscular bodies. Before their warming up exercises, each athlete rubbed the olive oil over his body. Wrestlers added powder and sand for extra grip. Over time, the Olympic Games became the most popular sports festival in Greece. Spectators flocked in their thousands from as far away as Italy, Syria, Egypt, and the Black Sea. In 456 before Christ, a magnificent temple of Zeus was completed at Olympia. This drew even more crowds. People lined up to see the fearsome 13-meter high statue of Zeus that towered inside. Only man and unmarried woman could watch the games, on pain of death. One married woman disguised herself as a trainer to watch her son box, but she was found out when he won. Luckily, her father and brothers had all been Olympic champions, so her life was spared. From then on, trainers had to be naked too. Chapter 3. The Show. Every fourth spring, 3 heralds journeyed around Greece to announce a period of peace, known as the Olympic Truce, for 1 month before and after the Games. The Greeks were constantly at war, but during the truce, fighting was banned near Olympia, so that people could travel to the festival in safety. As soon as the truce was over, everyone went back to battle. After 100 years of the games, there were 18 main events. The first was a chariot race known as Tephripon, which took place in an arena called the Hippodrome. One of the highlights was the pentathlon, a series of 5 events. According to legend, this was invented by a Greek hero named Jason, who completed in the first pentathlon against his friend Peleus. The pentathlon included throwing the discus, throwing the javelin, running, wrestling, and the long jump. The most brutal event was a savage fighting contest called the Pancration. Men could punch, kick, and break each other's bones. The only things that weren't allowed were biting and eye-gouging. Olympic winners were awarded a crown of olive leaves, and their names were proclaimed in songs and poems throughout Greece. When the Romans conquered Greece in the 2nd century before Christ, the games were still popular. But in dates after Christ, 393, 1,169 years after the Olympics began, a Christian Roman emperor named Theodosius I banned them. His soldiers destroyed the temple of Zeus too. Over the years, Olympia fell into ruin. After an earthquake and then a flood, the site lay buried deep under the ground, remained hidden for more than 1,000 years. A grand plan. In 1875, a German archaeologist named Ernst Curtius uncovered temples, sculptures, and pots among the ruins of Olympia. This sparked a wave of interest in the ancient games. A French nobleman, Baron Pierre de Coubertin, was fascinated by the Olympics and read everything he could about them. An enthusiastic boxer, fencer, rower, and horse rider, de Coubertin believed that sports could help everyone become stronger and more successful. He studied how sports were played in different countries. In England, he admired the fiercely competitive sports at schools such as rugby, where rugby was invented. He also visited a small town called Much Wenlock in England that holds a sports festival known as the Wenlock Olympian Games. This sparked an idea in his mind. In 1892, at a gathering of sports officials, de Coubertin announced his plan to start an international Olympic Games. No one listened. De Coubertin didn't give up. He spent 2 more years tirelessly writing letters and talking to world leaders. Finally, he arranged another meeting of sports officials. This time, his plan was accepted. De Coubertin was thrilled. His next job was to form a group to organize the new Olympics. This became known as the International Olympic Committee, or IOC. Chapter 5. A successful start. The first official modern Olympic Games opened on April 6, 1886 in the city of Athens in Greece. Thousands of spectators gathered to watch male athletes from 14 countries compete in 9 different sports: athletics, cycling, fencing, gymnastics, shooting, swimming, tennis, weightlifting, and wrestling. Women could only watch. In those days, many people, including the Coubertin, thought women were too delicate to play sports. One of the biggest problems for many athletes was that you need to attend. An American named James Connolly spent almost all his life savings on the boat trip from New York to Naples, which took 17 days. The trip was worth it. Connolly won the hop, and jump, now the triple jump, and became the first medal winner in the modern games. The entry rules weren't very strict. An Irish tourist named John Ballon signed up at the last minute and ended up winning the tennis singles and doubles competitions. Swimmers had to be especially though. They had to jump out of boats into the open sea and race to shore in icy cold water. The highlight was the marathon race of 40 kilometers, nearly 25 miles, invented for the Athens Olympics. It was inspired by a story about a Greek soldier named Philippides. In 490 before Christ, he ran this distance from Marathon to Athens with news of Greece's victory over the Persians. As the first marathon race at Athens drew to a close, the crowd leaped to their feet when a Greek runner named Cyprian Lewis entered the stadium for the final lap. Overcome with excitement, two Greek princes, sons of King George I of Greece, jumped onto the track and ran alongside Lewis to the finish line. Chapter 6. The Games Expand. After a very successful beginning, the IOC decided to hold the Olympics every 4 years in a different city each time. In 1900, the Games were held in Paris, France. This time, women could enter, but only in ladylike sports such as golf and tennis. After the 1904 Olympics in St. Louis, USA, the IOC awarded the 1908 Games to Rome, Italy. Then Mount Vesuvius erupted and the Olympics were quickly shipped to London, United Kingdom. For the London Marathon, King Edward VII and Queen Alexandra wanted to watch the start from Windsor Castle, so the race had to be lengthened to exactly 42,195 kilometers. Since then, every marathon race has been this distance. It was at the London Olympics that people first heard the de Coubertin's Olympic Creed, a set of ideas that summed up what he thought of the Olympics were all about. The important thing about the Olympics Games is not to win, but to take a part, just as the important thing in life is not to triumph, but to struggle. After the 1920 Games in Antwerp, Belgium, the IOC decided there were enough sports on snow and ice to have a separate winter competition. The first Winter Olympics took place in Chamonix, France in 1924, including skiing, figure skating, and ice hockey. Since 1992, it has taken place 2 years after the Summer Olympics. Over the years, more events have been added as new sports have become more popular. In 1896, on Athens, there were 9 sports and 52 events. In 1952, in Helsinki, Finland, there were 17 sports and 149 events. And by 2004, at Athens again, there were 28 sports and 301 events. Sports that have been added more recently include ice dancing in 1976 in Innsbruck, Austria, beach volleyball in 1996 in Atlanta, USA, and snowboarding in 1998 in Nagano, Japan. BMX cycling was included in 2008 Games in Beijing, China, along with a marathon 10 kilometers or 6 miles of swimming race. After the Second World War, a sports contest was held in Stoke Mandeville, England, for war veterans with spinal cord injuries. This was a huge success and led to the first International Paralympic Games in 1960 for athletes with disabilities. This was followed by the first Winter Paralympics in 1976. Chapter 7. Pomp and Ceremony. The opening ceremony at the Olympic Games is like a giant carnival. After a huge parade of athletes, there are amazing displays of music, lights, dance, and fireworks. After singing the Olympic hymn, the Olympic flag is raised. De Coubertin designed the flag with 5 rings. The rings represent the continents of the world: Africa, America, Asia, Australia, and Europe. Join in peace and harmony. Months before the games begin, a flame is lit in Olympia and passed by a relay of torches by foot, air, road, rail, or water. Divers have even carried a torch under the water in Australia using chemicals that burn in water. Finally, a runner brings the last torch into the stadium at the opening ceremony and lights a cauldron. The fire burns until the end of the games. A flame was kept burning throughout the ancient games too. Chapter 8. Olympic Heroes. The 1936 Olympics in Berlin took place when Nazi leader Adolf Hitler was ruling Germany. Hitler was eager to show off the strength of the German team, but the star of the games turned out to be a black American runner from Ohio called Jesse Owens. Despite strong competition from the Germans, Owens won an outstanding 4 gold medals for the 100-meter and 200-meter running races, the long jump, and the 100 meters relay. Owens went to inspire many top athletes, including an American, Carl Lewis. In the 1984 Olympics, Lewis won exactly the same event as Owens. Lewis won a total of 9 gold medals, including an astonishing 4 golds in the long jump. Lewis's 9 golds matched the record of a remarkable Finnish long-distance runner Paavo Nurmi, nicknamed as the Flying Finn. Nurmi won his gold medals in the 1,920, 1,924, and 1,928 Olympics. A Dutch athlete, Fanny Blankers-Koen, became an international hero in the 1,948 London Olympics. At 30 and a mother of 2, many people thought she had a little chance of success. She went on to win gold in the 100 meter, 200 meters, 80 meter hurdles, and the 4 by 10 meters relay. One of the stars of the 1,968 Olympics in Mexico City was American Bob Beamon, who leaped a remarkable 8.9 meters in the long jump, breaking the old world record by 55 centimeters. Beamon was so shocked he fell to his knees, saying, "Tell me I'm not dreaming." His world record lasted 23 years. In the 1972 Munich Olympics, the American swimmer Mark Spitz won 7 gold medals and set 7 world records in 1 week. And at the 1976 Olympics in Montreal, Canada, 14-year-old Romanian gymnast Nadia Comaneci delighted spectators. She was the first gymnast to score a perfect 10 points and went on to win 10 in 6 events. But the scoreboards weren't built for this, so her score came up as 1. British rower Steve Redgrave made Olympic history at the 2000 Games in Sydney, Australia. After winning his rowing event, he became the first athlete in an endurance sport to win gold in 5 Olympics. East German canoeing star Birgit Fischer won her first gold medal at 18 in the 1980 Moscow USSR Games. She won her 8th gold medal for Germany 24 years later in the 2004 Athens Games, her 6th Olympics. It was an incredible achievement. In the 2008 Games in Beijing, China, American swimmer Michael Phelps shot to the top of the Olympics medals charts. He won an incredible 8 gold medals, the highest number at one Olympic Games. He also broke 7 world records. At the same games, Jamaican star Usain Bolt, nicknamed the Lightning Bolt, thrilled spectators with his magnificent 9.69-second sprint in the 100-meter running race. He broke world records in the 100 meters, 200 meter, and 100 meter relay, the first athlete to set world records in all 3 sprinting events at a single Olympics. Today, the Olympics have become the biggest sports festival in the world. After lasting for around 1,000 years, who knows if the modern games will run as long as the ancient games, which continue for over 1,000 years. If they do, people will still be watching and competing in the Olympics in the year 3065. Hope you liked it. So, if you want to see more, just click that subscribe button. Bye-bye!